All right, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about RB67 lenses, specifically non-KL versus KL lenses. When I bought my RB67, I received this lens with it. It's 127 millimeter f3.8. It's like kind of one of the more popular lenses you see RB bodies being sold with on eBay, etc. And this one specifically is a Secor NB. The NBs had an updated barrel design, but the optics are exactly the same as the original or non-NB lenses. About a year ago, William Sheepskin posted a video about turning an RB67 into an RZ67. And generally that meant using the latest parts available for either the Pro S or Pro SD. I think he was using a Pro SD in the video. And that included using KL lenses. The KL lenses are quite a bit newer or more modern versus the original lenses, or in my case, the NB lenses. So it's probably safe to assume that the optics are better in the new KL lenses, but I wanted to test that out. I did a bit of searching around some old forums, trying to figure out, are KL lenses worth the money, pretty much. And there wasn't a lot of discussion in the forums, and at best it was kind of, they said this, they said that, kind of just like hearsay. The one thing really missing was photos, so there were no side-by-sides that anyone was providing, especially not of identical frame side-by-side shot on either version of the lens. Same thing goes for YouTube. There's not really any videos talking about this, or at least there wasn't the last time I looked. So that's the video I'm making today. Are KL lenses worth it? Are they better than the original optics? If so, by how much or in what ways? And maybe ultimately, should you save the money that you would be spending on the KL lenses and just go for one of the older lenses? So I took both lenses and my RB67 Pro S body to Berkeley to go for a short walk and just take photos of various things. I was just gonna shoot one roll of 120, so 10 shots, and alternate old lens versus new lens, trying to get as close as possible to exactly the same frame, same focus, side by side. Then we can compare them side by side in Lightroom or Photoshop afterwards. So let's head over to Berkeley and start shooting. So the first shot here was a gentle reminder about how shallow depth of field can be on medium format, even when you're stopping down the lens. These shots were taken at f11, and you can see with the new lens, I did not get the same focus as I did with the old lens. There are some in focus areas further away from the lens on the back side of these flowers. You can also see there's a significant color difference in these two photos, and I can't be sure, but my best guess is the light outside changed and I probably took too long switching the lenses, and that caused the colors to come out significantly differently. So we'll call this one a good test run, good first try. So on this next shot, I definitely did better in the focus department. Both of these shots are pretty similar in terms of focus and composition. And here for the first time, I think we can start to see a difference emerging between these two lenses. So off the bat, both shots look great. I'll go over the scanning and conversion flow a little later, but we can see here that both shots are sharp. I would say equally as sharp for sure. The newer lens, the KL lens, was definitely giving more contrast right off the bat. This definitely kind of gives some credibility to the idea that these lenses would look different based on the fact that their coatings are different. Even though we know the optics are also different, I think the coatings in this case are really making a difference. All right, now for the next shot, I think I even messed up a little more than I did on the first shot. Originally my plan was to take 4 photos, 2 on the old lens, 2 on the new lens, and try to use 4 photos to determine some differences instead of just one side by side. So I took this frame of a surfboard in a driveway with a basketball hoop and managed to get nothing in focus. I was shooting at f8, and after reviewing this footage, I'm pretty sure that I set the focus to infinity, but it's clear to me now that that was too far. At f8, I probably should have came in a little from infinity. So that said, we can't really compare sharpness in the two lenses from these photos, but we still see the same contrast difference. The new lens, even out of focus, is providing more contrast in this initial image, and that is consistent across both shots with the new lens for this composition. Okay, last up, this last pair of images is a close-up macro-ish shot on some rosemary. I was losing light very quickly at this point in the evening, so again, color differences in these two frames I think is a result of that. Similarly to the first image, the focus isn't exactly the same. There was definitely some movement in the rosemary as I was taking these photos. Now, at first glance, it's kind of hard to understand what's going on with the contrast here, but if we zoom into a couple individual blades, we can see the colorations in each blade show the same contrast difference that we've been seeing in the other photos. So we can see in the new lens, the darker parts of the needle and the lighter parts of the needle are more contrasty versus the darker and lighter parts of the needle in the shot with the old lens. So quick little info on scanning and processing. I scanned everything on my Sony a7R II, pretty much my standard scanning setup. The conversion was using Negative Lab Pro, and I knew I wanted to have the same exact conversion happening for each pair of lenses, or for the surfboard shot for the 4 lenses. So using the image of the rose as an example, I converted the photo taken with the old lens first. I just did a linear conversion, no color profiles, no brightness changes, no color changes, was not using a LUT, pretty much just straight across without settings. The only thing that I did select was auto white balance neutral. So once I saved that onto the image from the old lens, I went ahead and synced all of those same settings over to the image created with the new lens. So we can see, especially in the rose photo and the surfboard photo, when the light outside was not changing quickly, or maybe when I was moving fast enough, we get pretty much an identical exposure in terms of brightness and color. Of course, we're seeing those differences in the contrast. If I were to do this again, I think I probably would have done at least one frame indoors with a completely controlled light setup, or maybe just picked a less cloudy day, I'm not sure. But getting rid of those focus discrepancies as well as the color shifts due to the changing cloudiness definitely would have been ideal. So now we kind of come to maybe the conclusion of this video. Is the KL lens worth it? Worth getting over any of the earlier versions? And I think short answer is definitely no. Yes, it produces better contrast right off the bat, but you can always add contrast in post. Definitely nothing wrong with doing that. And I will say also, this NB lens, the one that I was using as my baseline, I suppose, there are newer lenses for the RB after this, but before the KL. So the Secor C lenses have updated coatings compared to the original and the NB. Perhaps if my testing was more comprehensive, I could have tested that one as well. Maybe that's something I can do in the future, but I don't necessarily think the KL is worth the twice as expensive price tag. That said, the styling looks more modern. They look way more like the RZ lenses, but I don't think the looks are worth it. One thing to note about the KL lens that I think is a general benefit outside the visual characteristics of the images, it does go down to 3.5, whereas the older versions only go down to 3.8. So not a huge difference, but it's a little bit faster of a lens. In any case, both lenses are really sharp. They produce great images. I'll leave some links to discussions about lens coatings and why different types of lens coatings render different images, and why that may be desirable or undesirable. And I think that's about it. So thanks for tuning in. I've got some more video ideas ready to shoot. Hopefully can be making some videos with some friends soon. You know who you are. Cool. See you next time.